Well, good morning. My name is This is my third year. Been quite exciting to see. The first one when we were 50 people or so. I don't remember where. Every year it keeps getting bigger and bigger, so quite an exciting scene to watch. And I'd like to thank once again Raul and Marco for inviting me once again. And today I'm here to talk to you about passion. I will start with the basic definition for the reason why I'm talking to you about passion. Passion is a non-physical force, and it is a force in every other sense. In the sense that it pushes us to do things even when those things are probably not the smartest thing to do, or the best things you can do for yourself or for your preservation. Passions are always in battle with reason and the logical things to do in our lives. The reason why I'm talking to you about these things is because my personal experience, passion has had a pivotal role in shaping my decisions. Passion tends to be selfish, illogical, and incontrovertible. In the sense that if you have a choice, and this will be kind of the key point of my talk, if you have a choice about what you're doing, then it's not passion. Then reason is guiding you. Reason is deciding for you. Passion is also the seed of art. I think we will all agree that art without passion is nothing. It's an industrial endeavor. It's not art anymore. And since, in my opinion, art is also the one thing that makes the whole human experience bearable, passion is also the key to the human experience. It's what makes life worth living. Passion would be truly dead. That's the key point. So one thing I want to just warn you about, the truly dead. There are people in this world, just like there are people that don't have any sensitivity to fiction. There are people who have absolutely no passion whatsoever. And you would think that it would be very easy to recognize. You can pinpoint a person that has no drive and no passion. But it's not true, because they lie to themselves. Nobody wants to admit that they don't care about anything that much to make it a priority in their life. And there are different degrees, of course, of passionlessness. And a lot of these people end up in important positions, and they're going to fight those that have the passion, because deep down they regret and they're envious of those that are not cynical and they follow their dreams. So since it's not a voluntary thing, you have to be ready to fight back and stick with your convictions. That's the hardest part. And not to be too negative, but Oscar Wilde always said it best. We all desire passion. We all need it. I don't think you're going to ever ask anybody and ask them if they have any dreams or anything they're really passionate about. They'll tell you, no, I'm perfectly happy with everything about myself. But what is it worth? In my opinion, it's everything. There's nothing in your life that is more important. Sometimes passion seems really simple, but most of the time it means struggle. And the two really seem to go hand in hand. In fact, if you go back and you look at your life and you analyze the decisions you made so far, you'll be able to pinpoint the places where you have followed your passion, and passion has driven the outcome of your decision, versus the times where reason sometimes comes in the form of, people around you telling you what you should be doing, what the correct course of action should be, what the prudent, the sensible way of approaching a problem should be. When that war is done, you're done. When you're no longer in struggle to resolve the conflict between your passions and your reasoning mind, then what is left? Really, what's left to do? You just wait to die and then you're done. And this is a beautiful quote as well. Miel on the real nature of passion and how it defines us in our lives. And my passions are still fighting. They're still competing with each other. I will be done with games in the day not too far. But I will have music. It will keep me alive and will continue to make reason something that is not a part of my daily life. It will continue to give me fulfillment and purpose in life. I've learned to dominate reason. I almost never let it win. This is the way we run our company, for example, we make our decisions. You will find that your daily life is a struggle between satisfying your passion, following your passion, and allowing a reason to, especially when you have lots of responsibilities and things in your life start taking a toll on your ability to just dive head first. There is absolutely nothing today that I cannot picture myself doing. There's nothing. There's nothing that I say, okay, there's no way I could ever do that. It takes, like I said, a long time, but you can get there. You have to train yourself to be able to see yourself in whatever role you think that your passions could take you to. Even if everything will go wrong, let's say this year, my company goes to crap. It can happen to everybody. It will not make any difference in my drive or my ability to find something else to do. That is a feeling I love. I love there is nothing that can happen to me on a professional level, certainly, or at least when it relates to my passions, that can bring me down. Nothing. I will continue to do it. Even if I make the worst game ever, the most crappy game ever made will not stop me from making games. And you should thrive. Your passion should thrive. And with that, I will let Port Minor, who actually said it best, as it always happens, rappers tend to kind of sum up exactly what your heart should feel.
Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. Like, he doesn't need his name up in lights, he just wants to be heard, whether it's the beat of the mic.
We are looking for another kind of video game market, is the social video game market, because all the analysts agree about the increase in social network and mobile market. They forecast these increases to be around 20 until 34%. Virtual goods and social video game markets are a choice for us. In video game, there is also a constant increase in revenue from microtransactions. Last year in the USA, Facebook and MySpace earned 1 billion in revenues from virtual goods. This year, the same revenues will generate 1.6 billion just in the USA, while all the companies' digital media forecast states that in all the world, those will reach over $10 million. We are again speaking of revenues generated by social games in Facebook and MySpace. Virtual goods and advertising become the first means to monetize Facebook games. Facebook best-selling games are cards games. Of course, we are speaking of especially of poker and RPG games. Goods games, that is the new companies of which we are speaking, depends on virtual goods, selling, subscription, and advertising revenues.
Really sort of affects sort of three areas. One might be the sort of more cultural aspect of games, so the design elements and so on. But of course, there's business, and then the more sort of technical side. And we don't often think of the relationship between those three elements. But this question of games as culture, our games are, and so on, really has an impact on all of those elements. in different ways, simultaneously in many ways. And if we start looking at, I don't know, sort of the business aspects, France is well known for their acceptance of games as culture, of games as art. This is a set of stamps that they released a few years ago as part of their recognition of games as an art form. And France is one of the few, if not the only, country in the European Union that provides tax incentives or tax breaks to game developers to encourage the production of games. And other countries are sort of struggling. I mean, you hear a lot in the news about the UK, who's trying to sort of fight their government to get tax breaks so that they can kind of catalyze the business. And so here's this sort of a business and culture link where the very acceptance of games as culture is enabling more content to be created, more studios to be funded, more games to be developed. I mean, even look at somewhere like Canada, who's very well known for having a lot of government incentives. It's great on one hand, but in Canada, there's still a greater acceptance as TV or film or screen media, so the dominant form of culture. And so even in a country like Canada, you have a huge discrepancy of the type of funding that goes into games versus the funding that goes into TV, for example. One of the funding agencies, the Canadian Media Fund, last month awarded, I think, about 12 million Canadian dollars, which are roughly the equivalent of American dollars. So about $12 million to fund various games and interactive projects. But then a few weeks later, awarded over $330 million for TV production, television production. So even in regions who are very supportive of games, you're still seeing this sort of huge discrepancy from a pure business point of view. We're creating, as Marco hinted to, Vigamus, which is a museum project. It's our attempt to preserve that history, to recognize the significance of game culture, and it is going to be a standalone museum, unlike most of the other ones which are embedded within larger archives. There will be a permanent exhibit which talks about the history of games, but there'll also be a temporary element or rotating exhibit that allows us to explore maybe more contemporary aspects or issues in games. But importantly, it's not just going to be a museum, it's also going to be a center for games culture and games research. A lot of the stuff that I mentioned that Henry Lowood was working on, or DIGRA, the type of research that they do, this center will promote that. Also, it will become a place to incubate new startups and independent developers to explore some of those quadrants the mainstream industry wasn't exploring, to sort of support, in some ways, the games that are in the other bubbles, on that ecosystem graph, and also there'll be training and courses that'll be available.
So this is the type of work we do. This is the type of graph that you can find for free on our website. And it shows, this is an example for the UK, and it shows how many people play different type of platforms. How many people play consoles, how many people play MMO type games, how many people download games on their PC, play on online casual game portals, social networks, and mobile devices. And you can also see on the right-hand side that 87% of the UK population plays games. And about a third of them never pays for anything. 2/3 does. 24 million Brits spend about 10 euros a month on average, by the way. Do your calculus and you'll know what the UK is spending.